Hi there. A warm welcome to ExpertsConnect on TeachSomebody.com, and I'm your host, Kadian Davis Owusu. Today, we're privileged to have the renowned author of the book, The Art of Compassionate Business, consultant, TEDx speaker, and lecturer, Dr. Bruno Cignacco. And our conversation will be about compassionate business. Hi, Bruno. How are you doing?
Thank you very much for your invite. I'm very honored to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. And can you briefly tell us about your background?
Well, my background is very diverse. I'm a lecturer at different universities. I have been delivering business module at different universities at undergraduate and postgraduate level for nearly 20 years. I'm also an international business consultant on marketing and international trade. I'm also the author of different books, some of them best-selling books. And my new book was titled The Art of Compassionate Business, published by Ruth Lewis in 2019. And also researched on business topics, especially on compassionate entrepreneurship.
Great, thank you. And I have one question for you. What are you most passionate about?
Very interesting question. I'm most passionate about spreading the word, especially in relation to compassion and business. I think that many organizations are not behaving in a compassionate way. You see many companies that are firing employees mercilessly, or companies that are exploiting employees, or companies that are deceiving customers or polluting the environment. I want to spread this message so that many companies can become much more compassionate, they can become much more socially oriented, human oriented.
Great, thanks for sharing. Bruno, why is it important to nurture a compassionate culture in our businesses?
This is a very important question. Well, first of all, we have to understand that many companies in the marketplace, they do not behave in a compassionate way. Why? Because they focus only on key performance indicators such as profitability, productivity, efficiency, which are very important, but they don't tend to nurture relationship with different stakeholders. Stakeholders are individual and group with interest in an organization. You have internal stakeholders like employees, management, and external stakeholders like customers, suppliers, and also community members, and also business partners. In business, relationships are very important because no company can succeed without stakeholders. But many companies only focus on these key performance indicators without caring for these different stakeholders. And there is a very important principle in business that is interdependence. No company can succeed by itself. No company can thrive on its own. Company need customers, suppliers, employee, community members, business partners. So when a company nurtures this relationship and make this relationship much more robust, these key performance indicators, profitability, productivity, efficiency, tend to be naturally achieved. Instead, when the company only focuses on this indicator, profitability, productivity, efficiency, without caring for relationship, this company is less prone to succeed. Why? Because the company needs stakeholders to succeed. This is a very important point to highlight. But the second point is that many companies focus only on quantitative aspect of business. For example, what can be measured, what can be counted, such as shares, market share, sales, profits. And they do not focus on qualitative aspect of business, what cannot be measured, what cannot be counted, such as loyalty, commitment, companionship, camaraderie. And both aspects are important in business. Qualitative, what cannot be measured, and quantitative, what can be measured. Many companies are much more biased toward quantitative aspect of business, but because they can verify, they can quantify, they can measure. There is a famous thinker that observed, not everything that counts can be counted, and not everything that can be counted counts. So companies should look for a balance between qualitative aspect of business and quantitative aspect of business. So this prevents companies from becoming more compassionate. But another point that I want to highlight that many companies tend to use terms that are related to military disciplines, such as strategy, tactics, and they do not focus on other things that are much more friendly to the business and work environment, such as empathy, compassion, commitment, support, care, and companies should try to use much more positive words that are not connected to military discipline, because if you use all these terms, strategy, tactics, that are very common in the business environment, you convert the workplace and the business environment in a war zone. We don't want this. So these are very important principles, and this is what prevents companies from becoming compassionate in the business environment and in the workplace.
Very enlightening. Thanks for sharing. And what are the key values of compassionate businesses and compassionate leadership?
Very interesting question. So in my book, The Art of Compassionate Business, I mentioned the word love. And I feel that love is very important for business. Many people think about love in a very limited way, in a sentimental way. They have a sentimental connotation of love that they feel for their family, friends, partner. But here I am talking about a much wider connotation of love, a more humanistic one, which includes support, care, compassion, thankfulness, generosity, empathy, and this can apply to business relationship and non-business one. Compassion is helping others achieve their needs, and also building relationships that are mutually beneficial. This means win-win agreements, long-term relationship. When you're compassionate with others, you don't want to win at the expense of others. Yeah. And this includes all stakeholders, internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. So when a company acts in a compassionate way, support every single stakeholders. And before making any decision, the company will think if any of the stakeholders is not benefited by this decision. Let's give an example. If the company is selling a product that is high quality, well priced, and the company gets a good profit from this product, and the customer is satisfied, this product apparently look good because the company is winning, the customer is winning. But when producing this good, if this company to produce this good pollute the environment, this won't be a win-win-win agreement. Why? Because the company is winning, the customer is winning, but the environment is polluted. So this means that the community won't be getting any benefit. On the contrary, will be harmed by this decision. So companies should look for agreements where all stakeholders that are involved directly or indirectly to this company, with this company, should be benefited. If there is at least one stakeholder that is not benefited, the company should rethink these decisions. So this is important. And compassionate is also understanding how other people feel, how other people think, what we call empathy, and also try to help them when possible. In these challenging times, you see many companies that try to help employees. For example, they allow employees to work flexible hours, or they allow employees to work reduced hours, or they allow employees to, for example, to work intermittent weeks, or for example, remote working from home. This is important. Why? Because employees have many needs, not only economic needs. They have some needs related to their family. They have some needs for relaxation and leisure. They have some needs for socialization. So we should understand that every stakeholder have a variety of needs. So, and the only way that the relationship can thrive is when the needs of both parties are met. If the needs only of one party are met, this relationship is unlikely to thrive.
Great, thanks. And would you say that sustainability is a key value of a compassionate business?
Very important, very important. Sustainability is connected to the framework that we call the triple bottom line. This implies that companies shouldn't focus only on profits. Profits are very important for business survival and for business success. But companies should focus on profits, but according to the framework of triple bottom line, should focus only on people, caring for customers, suppliers, employee, community member, business partners, but also should care for the planet. This means bringing about positive effect to the environment, for example, being environmentally friendly, recycling, using renewable sources of energy, also using green processes. This means environmentally friendly processes. For example, achieving some certification like ISO 18000 that are environmentally friendly, among others. Yes, you need to care for profits. This is the economic responsibility. You need to care for people. This is the social responsibility. And also you need to care for the planet. This means this has to be with sustainability or environmental responsibility.
Thank you. And Bruno, I think sometimes it's very difficult to have meaningful conversations in the work environment. Can you tell us why it's important and how we can encourage meaningful conversations in this work environment?
Yes, this is a very important point. I devoted the whole chapter on natural conversation. Why many employees cannot get a meaningful conversation at work? First off, because they don't have time. They have tight deadlines. They cannot waste time to talk to other colleagues. In some cases, in the workplace, you are only allowed to talk about business topics. You are not allowed to talk about personal topics like, for example, health or family or friends. But also in any conversation in the business environment, each person constitutes a means to an end. So I will talk, an employee is talking to another employee in order that this second employee will help the first employee to achieve goals, for example, budgeting or reducing costs. But you're not talking to others to know the person in a better way. So this means that from the compassionate perspective, you shouldn't consider a person as a means to an end. You should consider the person as an end itself. This means you want to know more about them, because we have to understand the building brick of any business activity is the human being. Without the human being, you cannot succeed. The human being is the one developing new products, new services, generating new ideas, attracting customers, designing promotional campaigns, setting the right strategy. So the human being is a generator of other resources. If we don't care for the human being, these business activities won't succeed. So another point that prevent companies from having natural conversations is because you have roles. You have the manager, you have the subordinate, you have different levels, top level, middle management level, bottom level. And there is like a hierarchy, and there is a lot of formality and respect between different levels. And in some cases, you cannot address things directly in a personal way. You have to use emails, or you have to use like letters or formal communication, or you have to ask for an appointment. So, but also many people tend not to disclose themselves fully. They try to play their role in the best way, and they try to use social masks, so they don't show themselves authentically. And in some cases, many business environments and workplaces are not favoring the expression of emotions. We know that we are all emotional beings. However, many business environments and workplaces do not allow people to talk about their emotion, because they believe that this can disrupt the thinking process and the rational process of setting goals or achieving, for example, some objectives or following some plans. So in practice, the best way to encourage this type of conversation is to allow employees, for example, once a day or at least once a week, some small event where employees can talk about anything but business topics. So employees should know each other on a personal level. There is a very famous article that is published in the Harvard Business Review a long time ago, that the author mentioned a very important point. He mentioned that there should be much more emotional and mental bonds in the work environment. The article was titled "The Human Moment at Work," and this was an article that grabbed my attention. Why? Because the article observed that with the use of technology, for example, email, voice messages, and so on, there is a lot of misunderstanding and miscommunication. People cannot connect in an authentic way. So by having, for example, much more direct meetings or connecting on a much more personal level, you know the person much better, and you are more prone to have more rapport and much more connection with this person and set up long-term relationships. So I encourage companies to have also some social events. Some companies only celebrate these events when they near Christmas or near some special days during the year. But we have to get these social events much more frequently. Why? Because people can let their hair down, they can connect on a mental and emotional level much more directly, and also know each other, and also they don't know only the aspect of the role, but they will know the whole person. So the social event, there are many studies on this that observe that the social events are very beneficial for relationship in the workplace and the business environment. I want to mention one study of Barsadi and O'Neill that observed that workplaces that are compassionate, where people can connect to one another, they can connect on an authentic way, they can connect in much more direct way, natural way, tend to bring about higher employee satisfaction, higher customer satisfaction, lower employee turnover, lower employee absenteeism, and lower stress level. All these indicators impact positively on the bottom line, which means profits.
Yes, while I can appreciate the value of a compassionate business, I'm a bit concerned about individualistic cultures that do not allow that expression of emotions. How would you encourage a compassionate business in these kind of cultures?
Yeah, you have two types of culture, collectivistic culture and individualistic culture, I understand. For example, Western culture tend to be much more connected to individualistic approach. We call this low context culture, also some author call this. Well, in low context cultural environment is by setting the example. So, and the example can come from the bottom level or the top level, because when people start to connect to one another in a much more personal way, this creates ripple effects. Someone has to start. This can be started from the top level management or the bottom level, but setting the example will be very positive. In some other culture, like high context, that where the relationship are key for business, is much easier. But we have to understand that regardless of the type of cultural environment, relationships are the key pillar of any business activity. I always give talk to entrepreneurs and also some very important companies, and they ask me why relationships are so important. The famous Stephen Covey, a very famous, well-known author, observed that there is a principle of interdependence. Everything is interdependent in business and in life. So this means that no company, I want to paraphrase a famous philosopher, no company is an island. No company can succeed by itself. So companies should encourage this conversation, this natural conversation, and should encourage also a much more friendly business environment and workplace, because in many business environment and workplaces, what I observe is lack of psychological safety. Lack of psychological safety that implies that employees feel fearful of being, they're fearful or scared of being fired, or scared of making mistakes, or scared to, for example, go against some formalities, and they cannot express themselves fully, overtly, and authentically. And when people feel fear in the workplace, in the work environment, in the business environment, their discerning skills, mental skills, are constrained, are impaired temporarily. They cannot be creative. They cannot be productive. Why? Because they are focusing on the threat. In this case, they are threatened by different factors in the business environment and workplaces. So encourage managers and also employees working for companies and consultants, also advising companies, to encourage and foster an environment where people can support one another, where they can cooperate instead of competing with one another, can cooperate. This means bringing about collective projects, but also when people can assist one another, especially in these challenging times, they need some support. For example, they need some training. This means adopting a generous attitude. I believe that compassion is connected to generosity. When you adopt a generous attitude toward others, for example, supporting them with training or giving an ear, or for example, giving some advice or giving some technical information, giving some contacts, people tend to reciprocate, they tend to give back, because there is a principle of reciprocity mentioned by Robert Cialdini that observes when you treat others in a positive way, they tend to treat you in a similar way. Yeah. When you treat them in a negative way, this generates negative ripple effect. They tend to withdraw, they tend not to cooperate.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing. And you've been giving us Here are their examples of how businesses are exuding compassion during COVID-19. Could you provide us with a few more examples?
Yeah, there are many examples. For example, you have companies like UPS that are allowing employees to take up college courses. So they're helping them to get some training, education, higher education. This is an example, very interesting example, because they are not only harnessing employees' skill, but they try to help them develop this skill much further. But also another example, I heard of a company, and then I researched on this company, it's called Patagonia. It's a cloth company that this company, believe it or not, has a child care in the workplace. So when a person has small children and they have some challenges to get, for example, some child care, some private child care, the company with no additional charge will help these employees to get this child supported by the personnel employed by this company, so they can relax and be at ease and they can work much more effectively. So these are very good examples, but also you have other examples, like for example, a company like innocent drink beverages that are here based in Europe, that this company is also having some entertainment in the workplace. For example, they have like a table tennis that the employees can relax and can chill out when they have a break, and they can play table tennis. And also, well, you have many well-known examples like Google that also allow employees to take a little nap, for example, when they are a bit tired or devote some part of their work time to generate new ideas. There are many examples. So there is a new generation of companies that are behaving in a much more compassionate way. They understand that people working for a company, they are not resources to be used and abused. Instead, they understand that these people working for the company, they are what they specialists call human capital. They are the most important asset. They are a meta asset, means an asset that helps a company generate other assets like new products, new services, new ideas, new strategies, enter new marketplaces, and so on. So they try to care for these people in a very important way. And also they try not to consider these people as costs to be reduced in critical circumstances, but instead they are trying to consider them as human beings to be cared for and supported at all times.
I really love it. Thank you for sharing. And Bruno, what's your message to our audience?
The message is a question. How can I be more loving? How can I be more compassionate in the workplace, in the business environment? This is a question for self-reflection. I want listeners to think about this. How can I be, from my perspective, when I'm playing my role in the business environment, how can I be much more compassionate? How can I be more generous? How can I be more grateful? That is also related to compassion in the workplace and in the business environment.
Thank you. And how can people reach you as well as access your book?
Well, my website, I have different websites. They can reach me on LinkedIn. I have 19,000 followers, but also they can check my website. It's www.brunocignacco.com. And also they can check my book that is sold online and offline. It's becoming very popular. It's titled The Art of Compassionate Business. It was published by Routledge, 2019. They can find this on Amazon or any other online bookshop, or offline, also any bookshop worldwide.
Thank you so much. And Bruno, thanks for your willingness to share your knowledge with us today. We were very happy to have you.
I'm very honored to be here. Thank you very much for your invite. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in on Experts Connect. I'll see you next week, where we will discuss exciting topics that will ignite your passion for learning. If you like the information presented, please head on over to TeachSomebody.com and give us an applause. You may share your comments and ask your questions in the comment section. Please subscribe to us on YouTube, as well as follow us on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Remember, I'm on Instagram at Kadian Davis Owusu, so please come on over and join me over there. It's Christmas time, and I just want to wish you a very happy holiday season. I wish you all the best for 2021, and I'll see you in 2021 where we will be discussing more exciting topics that's gonna ignite your passion for learning. See you soon. Bye.